It's been years since this happened, but I still can't sleep without triple-checking the locks on every door and window in my house. My name is Sarah, and what I'm about to share with you is something that changed me forever. It was the summer of 2013. I had just moved into my first apartment, a small one-bedroom unit in a quiet neighborhood. It wasn't fancy, but it was mine, and I was proud of it. The building was old, with creaky floors and doors that didn't quite fit their frames. At first, I thought the strange noises at night were just the apartment settling, but now I know better. The first incident happened about a month after I moved in. I was watching TV late at night when I heard what sounded like faint scratching coming from the living room window. At first, I ignored it, even though I knew that was real. The scratching stopped after a few minutes, and I didn't think much of it. A week later, I started noticing things in my apartment being slightly out of place. My keys weren't where I'd left them. The kitchen cabinet doors were open when I was sure I'd closed them. And once, I found my toothbrush lying on the bathroom floor. I told myself I was just being forgetful. Moving in and adjusting to a new routine was probably messing with my memory. But deep down, I felt uneasy. Then, one night, I woke up to the sound of footsteps. They were slow, deliberate, and coming from the hallway outside my bedroom. My heart started racing as I strained to listen. I told myself it must be my upstairs neighbor, but the footsteps were too loud and too close. They sounded like they were inside my apartment. I grabbed my phone and dialed 911, but before I could press call, the footsteps stopped. I sat frozen in my bed, clutching my phone and staring at the bedroom door. Minutes felt like hours, and when I finally worked up the courage to check, there was no one there. I convinced myself it was just my imagination. Things escalated from there. One evening, I came home from work to find my apartment door unlocked. I was sure I had locked it that morning. I searched the place from top to bottom, but nothing seemed to be missing. I told a friend about it, and she suggested I install a security camera. So I did. The camera was small and discreet, positioned to cover my living room and front door. For a week, nothing happened. I almost started to feel silly for setting it up. But then, I checked the footage from a Thursday night, and what I saw made me uncomfortable. The camera captured the front door slowly creaking open. A tall, shadowy figure stepped inside. They were wearing dark clothes and a hood, and they moved with an eerie calmness. The person walked straight to my couch, sat down, and just stared at my bedroom door for what felt like hours. Then, just before dawn, they stood up and walked out, closing the door softly behind them. I couldn't breathe. My hands were shaking so badly I nearly dropped my phone. I immediately called the police and showed them the footage. They took it seriously and sent someone to patrol the area that night. But they didn't find anything. No signs of forced entry. No fingerprints. Nothing. The locks on my door were still intact. It was as if the person had a key. I changed the locks the very next day and installed additional deadbolts. For a while, things seemed to go back to normal, but I couldn't shake the paranoia. I barely slept, and every little sound made me jump. Then came the final incident, the one that made me move out and never look back. It was a rainy night, and I was lying in bed, struggling to fall asleep. I had started sleeping with a bat next to my bed, just in case. Around 3 a.m., I woke up to a strange noise. It wasn't scratching or footsteps this time. It was a low, raspy breathing. My heart stopped as I realized it was coming from inside my bedroom. I reached for the bat and turned on the bedside lamp in one swift motion. The light revealed a man crouched in the corner of my room, his face partially hidden by the hood of his sweatshirt. His eyes were wide and unblinking, and he had the most chilling grin I've ever seen. For a moment, we just stared at each other. Then he stood up and said, in a voice that still haunts me, "You locked the wrong door." I screamed and hit the bat as hard as I could, but he was faster. He dodged and ran out of the room, disappearing into the night. The police arrived within minutes, but by then, he was long gone. They found no signs of forced entry once again, and the security camera footage showed nothing. It was as if he'd never been there. I moved out the very next day. To this day, I don't know who he was or how he kept getting into my apartment. I've tried to put it behind me, but the memory of his face and those words still haunt me. Sometimes, I wake up in the middle of the night, convinced I can hear that low, raspy breathing again, and I wonder, did I really lock the right door this time? Love what you see? Then subscribe us and hit the bell icon to keep up to date, and make sure you like the video. If you have a real horror story that you want to share, please email it to us. Our email is as follows: official@gmail.com.